Okay.
Hello, everybody. Joe Palmetto, Common Sense Academy here. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I have with us today my friend Matthew Salzer.
Yep.
And he reached out to me after I did an episode where I brought up a micronation, and we're going to talk about micronations. We're going to have a nice, calm, respectable conversation. I'm actually very interested to hear what he has to say. So thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I'm new to doing this with Zoom, so hang on a second, and let's see if I can bring him up. I have him on audio, screen capture. I have him on audio, but we're trying to do FaceTime HT camera. I'm trying to bring him up on Zoom, and I'm not sure how to share the screen exactly. Shit. Matthew, if you want to say hi, go ahead.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Who on here knows how I can share my screen with Zoom? What? Asking the audience, webcam, hang on here. Webcam, manage. One second. We're a little bit early. Well, I think I said 8:05. Let me Google this. Zoom.
On my end, there's a share screen option at the bottom.
I hit that, and it didn't do it. General, let me check again. Share screen. Desktop. Oh, I can do my the desktop. That might work. Okay, but it's still not coming up. Can everybody see that? Actually,
pull up your Zoom window, see if that pops it up.
Well, yeah, actually, I think I got you on. Oh, maybe not. Pin. Yeah, see, I pulled up the Zoom. Gone. See, I think there's a way I can share the desktop. Enter full screen, use dual monitors. Hey, everyone, can you see my screen, or is it just me? Turn off. Is it just me? Wait. Show active speaker. Shit. Still nothing. Pin video, make host, allow record, chat. Damn it, share screen. That's what I have it on, share screen. Damn, freaking YouTube makes everything difficult. Use dual monitors. Try that. No. Oh, I should have researched this more. I'm sorry. Video. FaceTime HD camera. Yeah. Mirror my video. Participants to video settings. Turn on, always display participant name, spotlight.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe hit the spotlight on my video when speaking.
I don't think that's it. It's still not coming up, is it? Everybody, it's just me, right, on the screen. I'm gonna go for a couple seconds longer. Virtual back. Stop share. Okay, hang on. Gallery view. Hold on. Hang on. Wait. Zoom meeting, edit, view, close.
Well, at least you'll know what to do in the future.
No, I won't. Unless I get there. Hang on. All participants. Okay. How about now, people? Damn it. Dual, one participant, all participants. I know there's a way to do it. I just don't know how to freaking do it. How to play YouTube, Zoom while live on YouTube. Nope, still, hey, CW, thank you. Enable live streaming for the meetings that you host. Sign into Zoom, click account settings, toggle allow live streaming. Jesus. Account management. Let's see if I can do this. Enter full screen, view. Shit, we may just have to go audio. Mute, play, enter, toggle, allow live streaming under in meeting, advanced. All right, we're just gonna go audio. Okay, everyone, I don't know how long that will take me. You guys can all hear Matthew, correct?
Hello?
Everybody can hear him? We got good volume?
Hello? Hello, can everyone hear me? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, they can hear you. Okay, Matthew, so you got a hold of me by looking, I did that little video on that sovereign who was doing the microstates, and you're into the microstate movement, is that, or what would you call it?
It's the micronationalism or micronations movement. Microstates are actually recognized states. They're like what's it called? They're like the Vatican and Monaco, legitimate states that are like part of the UN and stuff like that, that actually, have sovereignty and stuff like that. They're just dinky. Micronations are, how would I describe a micronation? A micronation is a small nation that is typically not recognized by, actually in most cases they're not recognized by any other sovereign nation. But so micronations operate on the very loose interpretation. I think it's from the Geneva Convention that in order for a nation to be considered sovereign, they need to fulfill four things. They need to control territory. They need to be able to enter into diplomatic relations with another nation. They need to have a permanent population, and they need to have a legitimate government. So micronations operate off of those four principles. They all have functional governments. They typically have a constitution. They have a population. They may not actually live in the territory they claim, but they typically in some way, shape, or form fulfill those four requirements. And as I mentioned, in most cases, they aren't recognized by a macronation, as we like to refer to, most other nations.
Okay, so are you a part of a micronation?
I am. We actually just had I'm part of the Royal Republic of Ladonia, which we physically claim territory in Sweden, and we recently had an election, and per the election rules, as runner-up, I am currently the deputy prime minister.
Okay, awesome. Now, why do you live in the United States?
I do. I live in Central California. I used to live in Southern California. Moved up here in December. Okay,
so why do you claim territory in Sweden and not in the U.S.?
Okay, so the thing with Ladonia is anyone can become a citizen. So I did some shopping around before I joined Ladonia, and the reason why so here's what I'll try to sum up as a short story. So long story short, Ladonia was formed in the early 90s, I think, by an artist named Lars Wilks. And the reason why he formed it was because he built basically the structure of driftwood in a nature reserve, and the local authorities were basically saying, it's a building, you need to tear it down. It's just like It's literally just a pile of sticks. So he basically on the loophole that Ladonia, that actually when the environmental authorities went to the courts, they said that it was basically unenforceable. They Lars, is that beeping coming from you or your end?
I don't hear any beeping. No.
Okay, it must be coming from my end.
Okay.
So basically, based on the fact that he basically formed Ladonia based on the loophole that the court said they couldn't enforce these environmental, the authority of the environmentalists, and it's from there it's gone to, I think we have 20,000 citizens worldwide, and a bunch of tourists that come in the year throughout the year, and have a bunch of projects going on. I think we have something like 100 government ministries, which I was a government minister before I was in the before I ran for prime minister. And we also have a something that's not atypical of micronations. We have a non-traditional monarchy, in that the queen defers to the matriarchal line.
Okay.
So we've got a queen, and her daughter, even if she wasn't the firstborn, she's in line to become the next queen.
Okay, so can a man be the king?
Only on the condition that he was the only monarch, the only one that could inherit the line.
Okay, so he would inherit it like how a woman, like under a traditional monarchy, how you would end up with a queen. Like it'd have to be some sort of not a mistake, but they'd be the only one who was next in line.
Right.
Okay, so are there more than one? I mean, is there many micronations?
There's probably micronations in the hundreds around the world.
Okay.
Yeah, just just in California alone, let's see, in San Luis Obispo County, there's Cal Sahara, which is actually part of West Arctica now. There's West Two, the Republic of West Two. In Europe, there's Republic of Sargensis, as I said, Ladonia, Republic of Principality of Sealand. That's an interesting one. Let's see. Also, there's Molossia, Nevada.
But why did you choose the one in Sweden, though?
I wanted to be involved in the government. So, and that Ladonia offers a lot of leeway. If you want to be involved in your government, you're involved. You just have to say, I want to create a government ministry. So you're probably not going to get any funding, but you just have to. It just depends. It's like there's a what's it called? There's a micronation for everybody. There's like Christian theocracies. There's like socialist, literal socialist republics that are fashioned in the vein of the USSR. As I said, there's various monarchies. There's one that's a full on that calls itself a feminist micronation, and then there was one that was called I think it was called the Kingdom of the Coral Islands, but the full name of it was, I think, the LGBT Kingdom of the Coral Islands.
Okay.
And keep in mind that a lot of these are political statements, like the LGBT, the Kingdom of the Coral Islands was specifically founded to protest the fact that there was no gay marriage in Australia. And the moment that gay marriage became legal in Australia, disbanded. I should also note that micronations can come and go very quickly. It depends really on the structure, who's involved, how many people are involved in it, and stuff like that.
Do these micronations, do they tax their people? Like, do you have to pay? Is there like a fee?
That's completely up to the micronation. In Ladonia, there's no taxes.
Okay. And how many members did you say are in Ladonia?
Ladonia, there's 2,000. I think, or is it 20,000? Something. We're one of the higher populations. I can tell you that.
It's people from all over the world.
Yeah. We have people from Pakistan, Europe, various parts of North America. I think we have members in Asia. It's if you want to join, then you're pretty much welcome. Oh, how about a same time sip?
All right, yeah, we're 15 minutes in. We're 15 minutes in. All right, everybody.
Same time sip.
I got here.
Everyone sip together.
Matthew, what are you drinking?
Water, just plain water.
All right, I got my specialty, Diet Coke, right from Wendy's. Tastes better when we sip together, everybody. Raise your cup in the air. Let's do a sip. Okay, so these sound like sort of forms of political statements. Is the goal of any of these micronations to actually get their own territory?
Some of them are. Some of them legitimately are. I'm pretty sure that the Antarctic micronations, because they're in unclaimed territory, they do that specifically with the goal of claiming actual territory.
They got a shot there. They got a shot, right?
Yeah, they do. A lot of them are formed based on the provisions in the Antarctic Treaty, like I forget what the full name of West Arctica is, but it was formed based on the fact that there's the Mary Bird land that's unclaimed, so they formed them there. But as I said, micronations come and go based on the founders and participants' activity. So in the Antarctic area alone, there's been probably 20 or 30 micronations that have come and gone. So it's a very I don't want to say it's fickle, but it's very easy for a micronation to exist one day and then disappear the next just because of inactivity.
Oh, I bet.
Like Ladonia, our founder Lars Wilkes, he's still participating, but he was very smart in that he was only the main leader at the beginning. He's still involved in leadership, but he's currently I think he's the Secretary of State, and he's been in that position for the longest time. He was smart in that he created a system that would outlast him. So Ladonia's got a very stable government system.
Gotcha.
If a micronation doesn't have a stable government system, like I said, it'll disappear if someone else, the founder has a different hobby.
Let me ask you this, Matthew, because we watch Sovereign Citizens, and I crack on Sovereign Citizens. Do you guys have sovereign citizens? Do they tend to join these micronations?
Typically, no, because that goes back to because if you're joining a micronation, you're submitting to the authority of that micronation. Now, of course, we know that sovereign citizens don't like authority.
Good point. Okay.
I'm not going to deny that there is overlap. Like you brought up those examples of micronations who were defying the
quarantine.
The quarantine restrictions. Yeah. So I'm not going to deny there is an overlap. There are, and then there's tax. There's that within the sovereign citizen movement. There's the tax protester faction. I'm not going to deny the fact that there's people who've founded sovereign or micronations specifically as tax havens.
Do you know any of them? Or do you know what their names are?
I don't know. I think most of them are. I think right now most of them are. They usually get shut down pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
There is overlap, but there's not a whole lot of overlap. It's like I said, most sovereign. So here's the thing: we're aware of the fact that we're quirky.
Right.
Right. Talking about this, a lot of people. I know that a lot of listeners are thinking, what's up with this? We have self-awareness. I'm quirky.
Sure.
I'm an artist. That's one of my. I'm an artist by hobby, so I'm very aware of the fact that I'm quirky. Like I said, Ladonia was founded by an artist, so we're very quirky. We're very aware of that. But as we know, sovereign citizens may not be. They're they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Oh yeah, they got more than one screw loose. They're not just
they've
quirky.
got multiple screws loose.
They're totally out there.
How is the best way to put it?
Have you got? Let me ask you this: Have you ever had a nation, like a real nation, come after you guys? Like, has there ever been problems with micronations where, like, the country where it's located is like, no, F this, or does that not generally occur?
So here's an interesting thing. I think it was in Samoa or Fiji, but there was actually a micronation that wanted to build an actual artificial island.
Yeah.
So they actually started building one on a reef, and it was either Fiji or it's like you could look it up, but it was either Fiji or Samoa was basically like no, and they not only rolled in with their military, but they blew what was built with dynamite. So,
That's what
so it's like that artificial island lasted for maybe a day before it was
here. The reason I say that is because I would imagine that sovereign nations. This sounds ridiculous, but it's really not. Like, sovereign nations, form nation states to collect taxes and have a body politic, etc. They could be legitimately threatened by a micronation. Like, they don't want people, you know what I mean? They don't want, like, what if that island turned into a whole group of people and all of a sudden there's hundreds of people there, and let's say they have guns? Now it's a problem.
Well, like, I'll throw a few examples out there. Like, I think it's the Republic of Liberland. They claim sovereignty based on like a territorial dispute between, I think it's Serbia and either Chechnya or Croatia. Those
in the Balkans,
those
Eastern Europe.
Baltic nations. But they formed it based on the idea that there's unclaimed land because of the territorial dispute. But when they've rolled in, I don't know which one of those countries it is, but when they roll in, the officials of those countries will roll in and say, "Get out."
Sure.
They'll literally boot them out
because this is what separatist movements do, right? Like, legit separatist movements. Like there's the separatist movement in the Ukraine right now. I can't remember the name of the territory. The Russian separatists. Like, that's what they do. They just put up a flag and they get guns and they say, "Hey, we're a country. This is our territory." Or
in the case of Crimea, they said we're a nation. Then Russia came in and
exactly. Almost all of Eastern Europe formed in that way, one way or another. I mean, all over the world.
There was one island nation in Italy. They got trounced on. The Principality of Sealand. And then, like I said, there's been this like decades-long court battle between Swedish environmentalist officials and Ladonia. I mean, we're always like a hair away from our like a full-on
being eliminated.
From like our symbol, which is, like I said, the structure. I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of it, but we're always like a thread away from our structure being torn down. We've actually had some vandalism happen to it.
So you guys, you do have. Sorry if I misunderstood earlier. I was messing around with Zoom. So you have a actual structure somewhere in Sweden.
It's like I said. It's basically driftwood that has been piled together into something representing like a little bit of a tower, but that, like I said, Lars Wilkes built as an art project. It's literally just wood stacked on together.
Do the Ladonians, like, would you go there? Like, is that like a destination? Like, the microstate citizens go to Sweden to visit this, right? It's like
I'd like to make a journey someday. Queen Caroline, she's made it out there. She's normally in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So she's made it out there. Several other people have made it out there. Going back to micronations that have been swooped down upon. Another example to bring up would be the Principality of Sealand, because they're on an old World War II tower on just off the coast of the UK. And what happened was this one guy named Patty Roy Bates went out there to basically occupy one of those towers, because after the war they were just abandoned. And so he went out there to occupy a tower and create a pirate radio station. Well, he ended up creating the Principality of Sealand. And initially, and his argument was, we're in international waters, you can't enforce anything on us. And British courts respected that, but the British Navy, actually, to prevent that from happening with another local tower, went out and sunk it.
Took it down.
And there's been multiple yes, there are
I'd seen that in the news, that Sealand thing. I'd read about that before. I forgot about it when you brought it up.
Yeah, that's one of the most. That's one of the best examples of a micronation.
My thought, you're probably in a good place picking the one in Sweden, because I don't think the Swedes, they'll probably let you go for a long time. If you're in one of those Northern European countries, they're not too hostile in those respects. So I could see them, you guys getting bad. It would take a lot to get them to roll up on you. But some of these other countries, I feel like the United States would be very hostile.
Like I said, there's a number of micronations in the United States, but the key to our existence is that they don't come off as
threatening.
Yeah, threatening. They're just we just come off as quirky.
Again, if you start to get actual land, I'm telling you, any country is going to be threatened. I mean, we see. Look, the UK didn't want another Sealand.
Yeah. Well, and then
I do think if someone pushed it too far in the United States, I mean, yeah, you could probably push it pretty far here. If they pushed it too far and started building up territory, have you ever heard of? While we're talking about Sweden, and I bring this up because I think this is semi-related. And I don't know if you're familiar, with Denmark and some of the Norwegian countries, but there's a place in Copenhagen, Denmark called Christianaland. Have you ever heard of that?
I think that is considered a micronation.
It may be. And for everybody who's watching, so I have a friend who is Danish, and she told me about this. Christianaland is basically a neighborhood in Copenhagen where the law basically doesn't apply. Like, they set this neighborhood aside, or maybe it's a park. I'm not even sure. You can Google it, Christianaland. And basically was like, look, if you go there, you can do drugs, you can do whatever you want, no violent crimes, but the police don't go in there and fuck with people. You could probably go in there, sit in a park bench, and smoke crack or do whatever.
Yeah, I think that is a micronation, but it's considered a micronation, but there's not really a stable government structure there, so we don't see them at micronation conventions. I should mention that we do have a something called Microcon, and we had several things going on before Microcon was founded in 2015. But every 2 years we've got Microcon. Microcon 2015, which was a bummer because I was in the area, but I wasn't into nationalism before then. Microcon 2015 was in Anaheim. Microcon 2017 was in Georgia, I think Atlanta. Then 2019 was in Toronto, and 2021 is going to be in Las Vegas. I'm planning on going there.
That's pretty cool. And I think with Antarctica, here's the thing: if the temperature's warm, it's possible Antarctica could turn out to have habitable land.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I met with Travis McHenry, who's the Grand Duke of West Arctica, and he said that he was talking about possibly doing an actual expedition down there and actually raising the flag on West Arctica.
That's crazy. I wouldn't do it, man. Because if he,
I don't know whatever came of it.
If he does it, he's gonna, he's gonna get on the radar of like countries. I mean, you could probably get away with it now, but if it actually becomes habitable, I mean, we can imagine any country that can is going to be down there trying to claim land, and they have militaries.
Well, there's countries in the area that kind of already claim land. That's the whole purpose of the Antarctic Treaty.
Right. Absolutely. And even, I mean, where they're claiming land up at the north, underwater at the North Pole for oil purposes and the northern parts of the North Sea.
I think that goes back to like international law and like economic zones and stuff like that. So
have you watched the YouTube or the Netflix show? I think it's called Wild Country, and it's about the Indian yogi who tried to set up a town in Wyoming or in Oregon. I'm sorry. Have you seen that?
I have not. I should probably look that up. It's like Netflix has so many gems just hidden in there.
It's not here's the thing. It's not he's not a micronation, but he almost turned into one, because they go, so it's this Indian, his name is Osho. He's got some other longer name, but his name is Osho. And he goes to
Indian names are pretty long.
Right. And he goes to India and he sets up he has his following, and they come to the United States and they buy a tract of land and they incorporate it into a city in Oregon. Okay. And then they start to have conflict with the town next to them. The town's called Antelope. And so they buy all the property up in Antelope and they make it like their part of their town. They rename it. Okay. And he arms all the citizens. They start training in guns. That's why it came into my mind when we were talking about this. Like, he was trying to set up his own little micronation.
That's a little.
You're like, we're peaceful. I gotcha.
Well, yeah, we typically try to be. That sounds a little extreme. And then that I think that also conflicts with just general town, like municipality laws and stuff like that. And
sure. But that is extreme. But that takes that's what might be in the mind of countries, right? Like governments of nations are like, this micronation thing seems harmless, but what if? You know what I mean? That's these politicians probably goes through their minds.
Well, the thing with micronations, here in the U.S. is that it's basically it's also interpreted as part of the castle doctrine. Like Kevin Baugh, who founded Molossia, he does it at his own house. It's like it's basically on his little own property. So that falls under the whole castle doctrine thing there. And then a lot of these micronations, they basically say that, our house is the embassy of our micronation. So that falls under the whole castle doctrine thing. And then it's like free expression, artistic and stuff like that. It's like, as long as you're not leading a full-on insurrection, I think that's why most, U.S. government officials kind of overlook it, like, they're quirky.
Right. I get it. For the most part, they're gonna be harmless.
Right, unless you're talking about that incident that you were talking about. But an interesting thing I should note is that micronationalism, like I said, we've got a whole bunch of extremes. It's like we've got traditional conservative monarchs, we've got gay monarchs, we've got progressives, we've got Christian theocracies. It's like we've got all these extremes going on. Yeah, we're probably one of the most inclusive communities, which would be surprising considering the whole, where things are going politically right now. But we're probably one of the most inclusive communities. Like I said, that you could have, a conservative, some kind of conservative Christian monarch, with going to the same convention as a gay monarch. We're definitely a diverse group, but we've got this one thing in common of that we have our own nations going. So
yeah, it's so what drew you to it?
I was just drawn to the fact that, you know, there was the creativity, because like I said, you know, artistry is one of my hobbies. You know, the creativity, the you know, helping to form a government, being active in it, to me that's what kind of drew me to it, is helping to create something and help it grow and stuff like that. But actually being able to be involved on a level, because it takes a lot of effort, especially in the United States, where, you know, the government is just so congested that to be actually involved in like leadership on larger scale.
Okay. I got some questions from the chat. All right, Matthew.
Okay.
Let's see here. This is from Scott. How is the government financed?
Well, a lot of micronations, we actually manufacture our own currency. We sell our own currency. Some will, we sell, titles of nobility. Like, I think I could probably drop $30 and become a Duke of Ladonia, which I might do someday. And then what else do we sell? A lot of them make stamps. Like, I wish that we had the visual, because I'd pull out my little book here and I'd show you like a whole bunch of stuff. So we sell a whole bunch of so micronations typically sell a whole bunch of stuff online, and then that, you know, are native to, you know, to those specific to those countries. And then what's it called? Then with like I said, nations like Molossia, where they actually have a tourism industry where people will actually come. There's, you know, you could sell souvenirs and stuff like that. So, and then like I said, a lot of micronations have online stores. Gotcha. Like, I kid you not, I will leave this micronation anonymous, but there's one micronation that actually sells its own lingerie.
I bet there are some weird, like, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they sell lingerie with the with their nation's logo on it.
What is your nation's logo? Just describe it. That's one of the questions. The flag
is a green flag with you know, that cross symbol that's like popular with that has like Denmark and Sweden and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a green flag with the cross symbol in like white lines.
Okay. And you sell your own currency, right?
Yes, we sell our own currency. We sell little flags, and which I think our currency is called the Ladon. And then we sell little pins, which if we actually had visual, I would show you the pin that I got. Yeah. I should note that I actually got a micronational award.
Really? For what?
So I'm the one of only 2 Ladonians to visit the territory of Cal Sahara. And I'm at Travis McHenry there with my dad. My dad was just supporting me on my little expedition. And I wasn't expecting this, but Travis McHenry gave me the what's called the Order of the Snowflake right there.
Okay.
I'm only one of 2 Ladonians to be part of that order. The other being Queen Caroline, who's, like I said, is the leader of our micronation. And it's only given to people who help either advance micronationalism or help advance West Arctica. I should note West Arctica is a heavy environmentalist agenda.
Okay, I gotcha. Let's see what else here. Well, your currency isn't valued in comparison to the U.S. dollar, is it, Matthew?
No,
you guys have an exchange
I don't think you
rate.
can buy very much for a lot laid on.
Okay.
It's mostly for just, just having something.
Yeah, it's like a neat thing to have. I get it. I totally get it. Let me see if there's anything else here. I thought there was one more question I thought was good. How is the oh, somebody asked, what state are you from originally?
California.
Oh, so you're from California? Okay.
Yeah, I'm from California. Yeah, I'm a Californian by birth, and I still live here. So
okay.
I went to college in Missouri.
Okay. Cool.
And then because I've mentioned this in your chats before and in your comments, but my dad was a government employee, and we lived in Japan for a while.
Oh, no shit. Where at?
We were at Tsugi and then Yokosuka, because that was Navy. So we were at Tsugi and then we were at Yokosuka. I visited Yokota. I did also visit Kadena. So I went to Okinawa once.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that you mentioned you were stationed at Kadena when you were in the Air Force.
Yeah, where's Yokosuka at? I'm not exactly sure.
Yokosuka is
like north of Tokyo or
south of Tokyo.
South of Tokyo. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on Honshu? Is it near like Osaka?
Yeah, it's on Honshu.
It's on Honshu. Okay. Now, how long were you there?
Total between the two bases, 8.5 years.
Do you speak any Japanese?
Hai nihongo ga shibimasu.
So desu ka. I can't. So desu ne. You know more than I do. That's awesome. Do you go to Japanese school?
I'm also part Japanese.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, my mom was born over there. Yeah, she was. Yeah, so yeah, so the military runs in my family, and that particular base also runs in my family. We're second generation that were there. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Does your mom, is she live in California now, or where your parents live? I'm just curious.
I'm living with my parents right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, when I moved up here, I moved in with them.
Gotcha.
Also note, I'm actually in a paralegal program.
No shit. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking for a change in profession, so I'm in a paralegal program up here.
That's awesome. Good luck, man. Good luck.
Yeah, so when you talk about a lot of the legal concepts, I'm like, I know exactly about that.
Yeah. Well, I got my other channel, Joe the Lawyer, where it's just more straightforward law. It's not as popular as this channel. Everybody loves the sovereign citizen stuff.
Yeah. So, So something else that is interesting. I don't know if you ever heard of the whole Republic of Lakota.
So like an Indian, like a
concept.
Native American.
It's like this is, when I explain this to you, this is probably gonna sound pretty sovereign citizen-ish. But so what happened was this guy named Tim Means, who was big on the whole Native American sovereignty movement back in the 70s. He and a bunch of Lakota formed this thing. This thing called the Republic of Lakota, and they're basically saying that they should have the right to reassert their sovereignty to the point that they're not just a domestic dependent nation, but that they're their own sovereign nation.
Sure.
And you have to admit that based on the tribal sovereignty concept, that sounds like they would have a legitimate say.
Sure.
The problem was they were fringe element.
Gotcha.
Most Lakota, when they heard about that, they're like, yeah, they don't represent us.
Sure.
But you have to admit that sounds pretty sovereign citizen-ish.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you. But if anybody has the right to set up their own sovereign nation within the territorial limits of the United States, right? I mean, it's the Native Americans. They practically do have their own nations.
Yeah, tribal sovereignty.
Right. I mean, they practically do. I mean, they have their own, to a certain degree, they have their own laws. Many of them are tax-free. They were allowed to do things on their territory that American citizens couldn't do, outside of the territory. So they get all kinds of benefits. I'm not saying it's maybe the greatest situation for them, but that they kind of have a degree of sovereignty.
Yeah. Well, and then like one example of that, before, back when, gay marriage was like being fought out between the states, the Native American tribes also had that determination, self-determination of whether they wanted to, make gay marriage legal on their
land, their territories,
their reservations,
right?
And that's still the case. There's the only parts of the United States where gay marriage isn't recognized is on several Native American reservations.
No shit. So it's still not recognized on those reservations.
Well, and then also technically American Samoa.
Yeah.
So, they've got their own, self-sovereignty.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right. So thanks for joining me, Matthew. Maybe I'll have you on again. I'm going to do, I usually go for about an hour. So I'm going to do about 20 minutes of my own chat. You can, if you can tell me what your contact info is, I'll type it into the chat. I don't know if you have the chat up.
At Matthew Salzer is both my Twitter and my Instagram.
At Matthew Salzer. And that's MatthewSalzer.
Yep.
Okay.
And I should also note that I also run a MMA journalism website.
Oh, no shit.
MMA, MMA Freak.
What's the site?
MMA-freak.com.
MMA-freak. What is it again? I'm sorry.
MMA-freak.com.
Okay.
MMA. And also, I have my own YouTube channel. I do a few different things on there. So if some of the people want to come in and watch my channel, watch my videos and support me. And then maybe I have a sovereign citizen playlist. So if they want to like,
oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. So if they want to get more in depth in there, then
are you pro sovereign citizen? We're anti sovereign citizen for the most part.
I'm anti sovereign citizen.
Okay, all right.
Like it's like I can't go into the legal profession and be pro sovereign citizens. Like those people are just nuts.
I know. I had to ask you.
Like I said, micronationalists. We've got we're self-aware that we're quirky.
Hello, welcome to.
So I found your channel.
Obviously, for.
Oh, okay. you found my channel.
Okay, let me change. I'm gonna drop this also, and this will be. Oh, do you take a stand on diplomatic immunity? I doubt. That's like when foreign nationals come to go to a different country, and the federal government may grant them a special status.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Everybody's talking about it in the chats. That's why I wanted to ask you.
Diplomatic immunity. I really hate when I hear those situations of just plain brats having diplomatic immunity, and they think they could do whatever they want on the town while they're. It's oh boy. That's a hard one. It's like certain people need diplomatic immunity, but I don't think it should be as widespread as it is. Like if there's a bratty, if there's a bratty child of a ambassador, and they raise hell on the town all the time. It's like, no, they should not have diplomatic immunity. They should be held responsible for their consequence. So I think diplomatic immunity needs to be more limited than it is.
I agree with that. Here's what I imagine seeing in the future, Matthew. It may or may not already happen, but like you said, there's overlap. Like I can just imagine, like if we were going to create like a sovereign citizen on steroids, like I could see one of these sovereign citizens like joining a micro nation and then like incorporating that into their bullshit. You know what I mean?
If you really think about it, like the Moorish Americans, it's like if they wanted to, they could probably go like sovereign citizen micro.
That's what they are. You're right. That's a perfect example. They are almost. I don't want to give micronationalism a bad name because what you're telling me, it sounds like a pretty neat thing. it's a community of people who have different causes, et cetera, brings people together, you know, that's fine. You make a good point about the Moors, though. They basically are. They are a micronation of sovereign citizens.
Yeah, because they claim to like have. It's because if you think about it, it's like they're claiming to have their own territory, but the thing is, they're not organized, which I think differentiates themselves. But it's like they keep talking about possibly doing it.
Right.
And if they did that, then that would, yeah, there'd be some concern, and it's possible it could happen.
Yeah, we don't want that. I mean, I watched some of these Moorish videos, and they're like talking about getting guns. I'm like, what the hell?
They're the nutty. It's like in the basket of nuts that's a sovereign citizen movement, what's the largest nut in the world?
Yeah, I think my audience,
they're like the chestnuts.
Yeah, I think my audience would agree with you. I think their ideas are maybe the looniest, but I don't think they're the most dangerous. I don't. Like, they talk all this crap, but like, I think some of the most dangerous ones, I think, are the ones that live in really, really rural areas, and they grow up with this anti-government mindset, okay? And then you can see these are the ones who end up shooting police officers, you know, taking it really, really far.
Yeah, those guys are they're the most dangerous, but right. I'm just saying in terms of like total kookiness,
yes.
I think that the Moors are probably the kookiest.
Yeah, because they're just a total denial of history.
Like, I'm not like danger and insanity. I mean, they do go hand in hand a little bit, but I'm not sure that it's always equated.
Sure.
Like these dangerous sovereign citizens, they might be less insane than the Moors.
Right. That's true. That's probably
the Moors
true.
are genuinely demented. They live in this alternate reality world. It's like, this would make a good alternate history novel.
I'm surprised nobody's written that novel. It would.
Yeah, someone should. It would make a good, alternate history sovereign citizen novel.
Like that one TV.
Yeah, it would make a good alternate history novel. It's not reality.
Like one TV show, that TV show that has, Germany, the Axis powers winning the war. I mean, you could do that.
High Castle.
Yeah. I haven't watched it, but you could do that with the Moors, right? Where like the Moors take over a portion of American territory, and you have two countries. Who knows? Yeah, it'd be wild. But you still there, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay.
Here.
Anything? I'm gonna go just because I do a little spiel with the audience myself, so I'm gonna let you go. Here's what I want you to do: is we were messaging. Send me all your contact info, and I'll put it in the description of the show. Okay.
Okay, I'll Facebook message it.
Yeah, Facebook message that to me, and I'll drop you on my Facebook page. I don't have that many people on the Facebook page, to be honest, but I just broke 7,000 subscribers, so thank you, everybody.
Well, you could also put it in the description of the video.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it there, but I'll probably drop it on the Facebook page too. Listen, thank you very much for coming on here. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience before I let you go?
Would you agree that the First Amendment auditors are probably one of the more disrespectful sovereign citizen factions?
I consider them a little different, but yeah, I do agree with that.
They are a little different. I feel like, as we mentioned, there's overlap.
Oh yeah,
there's probably more overlap with the First Amendment auditors than somebody else. There's definitely overlap. It's like they're separate, but they've expressed some very similar ideals, and they're so disrespectful.
They're very disrespectful. There's a lot of overlap. You're absolutely right, because some of the auditors, there's just a lot of overlap, right? My favorite are the ones who are like in First Amendment auditing mode, and then they go full sovereign citizen once they start to encounter, and it's all just blah blah blah. You know, a lot of the auditors don't do that, but that doesn't mean that they're not pests. You know, like they may not be a part of the sovereign citizen crap, but the ones that aren't sovereign are almost worse sometimes.
Yeah. You know, something I've been thinking of is I've been thinking of doing a how to do a First Amendment right video where I literally just am on the outside and I don't go inside, I don't go in the parking lot, I literally just go around the periphery and just say, this is how you do it. And if a police officer comes up, I'm going to say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, you want my ID? It's like you want me to leave? You want me to turn it off? I will be more than happy to. Just don't arrest me. I was just trying to I'm not even a First Amendment auditor. I was just someone who was showing how to do it correctly.
The right way to do it is, you know, if they want to go into these buildings, is to let them know beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't do that.
Because you're gonna listen. I mean, think about it like it's your house. I have an office, okay, for my law practice. If one of my client people can, well, actually, I have a secured door. Now I do. My prior offices, a lot of law firms don't. You can just walk in the door. It's like a doctor's office. Though the secured stuff seems to be more common now. But even if it's secured, like they'll buzz you in and they can just walk in and start. If somebody walked in my office and just start doing this shit, I'd be like, what are you doing, man? You know? So I totally get it.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll send you all my contact info.
My audience is happy that you disapprove of the auditors. We all disapprove of them as well.
Yeah, they're just so disrespectful. It's like I'd argue they're one of the more disrespectful subgroups or factions within the sovereign citizen movement. It's like the roadside sovereign, they range, but some of them are pretty polite.
Yeah, some of them will end up submitting. Yeah, I agree
they're
with
polite.
you.
They're polite in their defiance, is what they are.
I still believe for like the sovereign citizen is the worst because the sovereign citizen can go to violence. I mean, they will go to extremes because they truly believe these things,
and they'll justify it.
Right, and the First Amendment auditor is a pest. Okay. And sometimes the First Amendment auditor rises to like an actual crime, but we're talking like sovereign citizenship is a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level, in my opinion. But yeah, the First Amendment auditors are a pest too. And both movements seem to be growing more or less, probably because of what we're doing here.
Well, and like we said, there's overlap.
Absolutely. A lot of it, because every sovereign citizen's, you know, going to pick up his phone and blah, 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 and, you know, name and badge number, all that BS. What'd your dad do in the military, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I'm just curious.
He was on the bridge. I can't remember what.
Oh, Navy, right?
Yeah, and then when he got recalled, I think he was involved. He was recalled during Desert Storm, and he was involved in logistics. He is currently an industrial hygienist. He's, like I say, he's a civilian now.
Gotcha.
But he still works on base.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I was an F-15 crew chief. I worked on F-15s, F-16s, A-10s a little bit. And yeah,
what do you think of the F-22s?
What's up?
I think of the F-22s and the F-35s.
Yeah, the F-22, when I was in, actually, a couple of guys, because they were looking for people to work on the F-22 airframes, and I was in 2002, 2006, and they were just entering service. So a couple of my friends got shifted over to the 22. They didn't really like it because you have to use a computer to diagnose everything, and it was a lot more technical. Like when you remove panels on the jet, you then have to paint it over. It's like everything was much more tedious, you know, than the older jets where you could just crank it out, or I don't know. I sound like a boomer. My audience already called me a boomer because I couldn't get the Zoom app to work right.
Aren't you more of a Gen Xer?
Technically, I think I'm a millennial. I don't know. I was born in '82. Like 82's like the cusp.
You're barely on the line. You're either going to be barely considered Gen Xer or a millennial, depending on the definition.
Yeah, some of them, like some website will say I'm a Gen Xer, and some of them will say I'm a millennial. I think there's an overlap group. They call them Xennials or like Zennials. It's like Xennial. So
I'm definitely a millennial.
I gotcha. What'd you think of Kadena? Did you go down there on vacation, or why'd you go down there?
I went down there on a retreat. It was a youth retreat.
Okay.
It was a nice base.
Yeah. Did you like
But
Okinawa?
actually, that wasn't even the place that we stayed. We were only on Kadena for like a day. Most of that week we went to this like little island that was like a ferry ride, a 1 hour ferry ride off of Okinawa.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Nice little island, nice little retreat area.
Did you go to Naha or any of the towns in Okinawa, or not really? No.
I don't. We spend very little time down there. So like it's like we had a specific agenda. It was like, we're gonna go to Kadena, we're gonna stay there for a day, we're gonna go to this retreat and for this little retreat island for a week, and then we're gonna head back onto the mainland and fly back up to the islands.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I studied Japanese for 2 years, but that was 10 years ago. Arigato.
My cousin is actually stationed in Okinawa right now.
No, in Air Force or Marine?
No, she's a Marine.
Okay.
Yeah, she followed in the footsteps of her daddy.
Gotcha. Yeah, Okinawa is interesting because there's almost no army, and there's a little bit of Navy, but then there's this giant Air Force base and like 2 big Marine bases, so it's all Marines and Air Force. It's an interesting mix.
Yeah, if you from a demographic standpoint, Okinawa is basically the Hawaii of Japan.
Yeah,
it's on a similar longitude. There's a similar cultural disconnect from the mainlanders. Yeah. It's as you mentioned, there's a large military presence. It's pretty much the Hawaii of Japan.
Yeah. I've heard many Japanese people say that, like well, you're a Japanese person, but yeah, it's like isn't it considered like on mainland Japan, like Okinawa is sort of like Japan's Hawaii, but like a lot of Japanese would rather go to Hawaii for vacation. It's like Okinawa is like the cheaper vacation than actually going to Hawaii.
They'd rather go to Hawaii than Okinawa. Well, and it's culturally different. It's because, like I said, it was similar to Hawaii from the U.S. in that it was its own kingdom before it got reincorporated into what at the time was the Japanese Empire.
Right.
So
right. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming on, Matthew. I'll put all your information up. I appreciate it, and maybe I'll have you back on at another time.
Yeah, well, yeah. If we have something like specifically micro-nationalist.
Next time I encounter a micro-nationalist that I'm going to cover, I'll have you on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, man. I appreciate it a lot. I hope you get some traffic, and I'll plug you in all my other areas too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you all the info. And thanks everyone for having me on.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
I'll see you in the chats.
All right. Have a good one.
Yep. You too.
How do I end Zoom? Another boomer moment. Here we go. Okay, that was my first venture into Zoom, everybody. That was Matthew at a micro-nationalism. Thank you for welcoming him and giving him some questions. I got to work on this Zoom. The only way I'm going to work it out is by practicing while also live on YouTube. And that doesn't really freaking work. But like these other dudes do it, right? Like Leto from Leto's Law and Lawful Masses. Like he's worked it all out to have freaking the double screen on Zoom. I thought I could figure it out once I pulled everything up, and I couldn't. So I apologize, everyone. We're going to try to get it. I'm going to try to get it right in the future. Anything you guys wanted to, I've been on for about an hour. We got a good audience. I still got a little bit of energy. Anything you guys want to talk about? FYI, I put up that P. Barnes video and YouTube took it down. YouTube took it down. And I have no idea why. See, that's the thing. When YouTube takes something down, they don't tell you. Okay? They don't tell you. The YouTube just takes it down and that's it. It's gone. Oh, hey, Chuck Chases the Facts. I've seen a couple of your videos have been recommended to me, man. I like your channel too. Thank you for jumping in here, Chuck. Maybe you and if you want to come on or if you want to do a crossover, Chuck, let's do a crossover. You got your own channel. Shoot me an email and we'll work something out. Maybe when you come on, Chuck, you can show me how to get it going. There are crackly noises in the audio. Well, this is my regular audio here. And so I don't know what's going on. I know that show was a little bit different, everyone, but he reached out to me. He's a fan of the show and he wanted to come on StreamYard. I'll have to look into it. He wanted to come on and I thought it was interesting and fun. And he's a nice guy. I'm just worried about excuse me. I'm worried about the sovereign citizen micronation overlap. I think it's going to come. That's why I covered it previously. It's clipping, meaning going over the red line. That's why I covered. Can't mention P. Barnes without his man in the field. He smashes. Maybe they're coming for me now, Finn. I don't know. I don't know. I pulled it off of, if you guys are on that Reddit, the Reddit thread, Am I Being Detained? I pulled it off there, and he had mentioned that they were taking it down. So whoever copyrighted it or whoever's going after that, thank you, Sheila. Have a good night. Whoever's copywriting and going after, somebody's going after those P. Barnes videos. Okay. So somebody so I put it up. It was up for a couple of hours and boom, YouTube took it off. Here's YouTube right now. Maybe Chuck Chased the Facts to see this. YouTube has demonetized almost everything because they're not doing the human review. And since the lockdown started, and so since I've been trying, I never challenge YouTube generally with the demonetization, but because since the shutdown, they've demonetized everything. I challenged one and it took them 3 days to review it and they still didn't give me freaking monetization. Listen, Taze, if you want to go out to Gate 2 Street, dude, wait a minute. Where is it? I got a bottle of Habu sake here. I got a bottle of Habu sake. What happens, here's the thing though, Taze, what happens at Gate 2 Street stays out of Gate 2 Street. Okay. I saw some crap out Gate 2 Street that I don't know if human beings are meant to see. Okay. It's stuff that wasn't meant to be seen. And I cannot talk about it here on YouTube. I cannot talk about it here on YouTube. I won't do it. Okay. I already had one channel taken down. Sovereign Unity is a micronation sovereign citizen crossover. The guy rented a house, claimed it as an embassy, and refused to honor the rental contract. They weren't wanting to step into the courtroom for eviction. Yeah, I knew the crossovers had to exist, and he's right. The more sovereign citizens basically are. Yeah, P. Barnes is I mean, he's a straight up badass. That's all I can say. He's a straight up badass. Don't worry about missing the start. The first 10 minutes of the show was me messing with Zoom. And it didn't go that well. But the chat is totally frozen for some reason. Really weird. Is the chat's showing up on everybody else's, so I hope it shows up on the live playback of the video. Is there a ping pong ball lady performer in Japan? Scott Billman, have you been to Japan? Have you been to Japan? Thank you everybody for coming. I'm tired, so I'm gonna go to bed here soon. That's it. Look, that's the thing. You saw my P. Barnes video. I didn't do anything. That video's up on YouTube in like 5 different places. So what was different about mine? I didn't even use bad language. I just add commentary like I usually do. I barely even use bad language. Since everyone's online right now, live stream's taking 12 hours to upload. Yeah, that's probably it, Mass. I mean, that must be it, because everything's clear on my end as far as the streaming, and some people are getting screwed up. See you later, Chief. Have a nice night. Some people are getting it messed up and some people aren't. All right, I am going to go. I'm about the end of the road. Chief, Beverly, Tom, Chuck, Mass, Taze, Scott, Jack, Denise, Mrs. Jarhead, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate everybody. Carl, thank you for coming in. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to take off. I'll see you guys again next week. I'm going to try to put up new videos every day. Good night. Going to Miami, CW. CW, one last shout out. Thank you for becoming a patron on Patreon. I got to send you a message soon. Like I said, writing a book is nuts, man. Everybody here wrote a book. Like I can't believe how much work it is. I thought I was going to get this thing done in like 30, 40 days because I had a lot of time, and I don't know when it's going to be done, but I feel like it's close. But I want to make it good. All right, everybody, have a nice night. Chuck, send me an email or send me a Facebook message on Common Sense Academy. Maybe we'll talk next week. All right, good night.